Howdy. For this video, I want to go over the self-regulated learner essay. I'm doing this for all of my Comp 1 classes for spring 2025. You'll find the self-regulated learner essay assignment under Essay Assignments tab on the content page. And later on, we're going to look at a sample self-regulated learner essay, and you'll find that under Help Resources on the content page. So they're kind of in two separate places. But let me know if you can't find them. All right, for this essay, you're going to write a 700-word minimum 5-paragraph essay. We're just going back to that 5-paragraph format you probably learned in high school. We'll get away from that as we move on with the longer essays. We want to kind of start, with something we know and then move on. And if it's been a while since high school, it's kind of a good formulaic essay to get started with as well. But we're going to do the 5-paragraph essay. We're going to be in MLA format. And you're going to analyze any three of the profile points of a self-regulated learner, that's hard to say, as they apply to you. So in this essay, you're not going to tell the reader how they can be a better student or a better self-regulated learner. You're going to tell us why you're a good student and a good self-regulated learner, or maybe one or two things you might improve on as you embark on your college efforts. Like I said, you can pick points you become good at, or maybe points you're not so good at. Sometimes it's good to do a combination of the two. Maybe pick two profile points you're good at, and maybe one you need to work on to kind of mix it up a little bit. Excuse me. But you're going to stay focused on your experiences and what specific efforts you've made or have made or could make to either continue to be a good self-regulated learner or become a better self-regulated learner. The profile points are given on the assignment sheet. If you have a good memory, you'll realize this comes straight from the last page of the reading for journal number 3, where you're reading about self-regulated learning. But you're going to pick any three of these. Which three you pick's up to you. And it kind of just depends on who you are as a student and what you might need to work on or why you're really good at certain things. Probably nobody's perfect at all of these. So it just kind of depends on who you are and how you want to do this. But just kind of going through, are you intrinsically motivated to learn, especially in courses that you may not be thrilled with. Believe it or not every student loves to write essays. So how do you get yourself motivated to learn, to get started on essays and keep up with the work in an English class? It's kind of an interesting question. Are you good at planning and organizing work? Do you have a learning plan? Are you good at eliminating distractions and working in a good environment? I got a lot of people in my house, so it can be a challenge for me to have a good learning environment to work in. I have to kind of shut the door and yell at everybody to leave me alone, and it kind of takes some effort to create a good learning environment. Can't have my phone in there and things like that. And I need quiet. I cannot listen to music. But other people need music to keep their mind focused. So it kind of just depends on who you are. Are you good at asking help and utilizing aids and asking questions? Are you good at attributing success to personal ability and effort? In other words, if you work hard at something and study for the test and get a good grade, you think, hey, there's a relationship to how well I study and to what kind of grade I'm receiving. I struggle with this using effective strategies. I'll do the same thing over and over and over, and it doesn't work, and I just get more and more frustrated until finally somebody says, hey, why are you doing that? Do it like this. And I'm like, oh, okay. And then I'll realize that I've just had an ineffective strategy, and I'm kind of getting stuck in a little cycle there. So it's going to be different for everybody. And you're just going to pick three that you can work with because you're going to have a body paragraph in your essay on each one of those points, and we'll take a look at that here in a second. Alrighty. Be sure to read through the guidelines. There are word count minimums for this particular essay. The first 4 paragraphs should be at least 150 words, and the last paragraph, the concluding paragraph, should be at least 100. That's where that 700-word word count comes from, and that's the minimum. I mean, you don't want to try and hit exactly 150 words in each of the first 4 paragraphs. You're probably going to go over that by a little bit. You need to define growth mindset and self-regulated learning within the essay using the sources from journals number 2 and number 3. And you'll have to put those on a works citus page, and when we see the sample essay, you're just going to copy it straight out of that sample essay. You should have at least 5 uses of figurative language. There's a handout under Help Resources to help you out with that. You should try and use all this fun punctuation. Again, there's a handout in D2L under under help resources on the content page that show you how to use those. And there are some forbidden words. You don't want to use you or your. You're not telling the reader how they can be a better self-regulated learner, or why they're, how they can be a good one. You're telling us why you are, or what you need to do to become one. So you focus on yourself. You should be using capital I throughout the essay, and focus on your own experiences. Want to avoid got or get. These are kind of lazy catch-all verbs that where you could probably have a much more precise verb in place of got or get. Right, I got a pizza, I got a girlfriend, I got married, I got COVID. We use got and get very loosely when we talk. When we write, we want to kind of make sure we're using the more precise verb in place of that. And avoid the word it. Don't avoid it. Eliminate the word it. It tends to lead towards vague pronoun use, like where the question is, well, what is it in that sentence? Or it also tends to push students towards passive voice, where they start saying, well, it is interesting that, and yada, yada, yada. And then, it's what's interesting and who's it interesting to? That's kind of the question there. So just avoid those words. They're a point off when I grade, so make sure you're getting those out of your writing. That's the basic assignment. Want to look at a sample essay so we can get into a little more detail. This is a dual enrollment student from quite a few years ago. So it's good to have a little distance when you look at a sample essay. So this is a dual enrollment student at what used to be Sullivan Central High School. It's not there anymore. Well, I mean, it's still there, but it's not high school anymore. But the first paragraph, you're going to introduce yourself as a student. If it's been a while since high school, you might talk about yourself and what you've been doing in the workplace a little bit. Are you a leader in the workplace? Do you just kind of show up and get your paycheck? Kind of keep your head down. Which may not serve you well in terms of promotion or things like that, right? Same way when I was in high school, I just did enough work to keep my mother off my back and keep my car. And I was a pretty lazy student, and I wasn't very successful. And when I went to college the first time, it didn't help me at all, right? I'd really struggled the first time in college to stay motivated and know how to study and get the work done. It was just a challenge for me. Eventually, I figured it out because I didn't study self-regulated learning, right? Until I was almost at the junior level. But anyway, so you want to introduce yourself in the first paragraph, and you want to end the first paragraph with a good, clear thesis statement. A thesis statement is a one sentence that tells us what your essay is going to be about. And I want to see those 3 profile points in that thesis statement. So she's going to talk. I'm currently a student at Sullivan Central High School. I maintain a 4.0 GPA and stay involved in many clubs at school. I'm a member of the History Club, Beta Club, National Honor Society. I'm a senior and I graduate in 5 months. After high school, I plan to go to Northeast State. And she's just kind of telling us, I'm not going to read this thing word for word. You can read faster than I can talk. But you're just going to introduce yourself as a student and kind of what your habits have been in the past. And if you have good habits, how are you going to carry those on to the college level? If you have some bad habits, how are you going to maybe work on those so you can be more successful in college? She kind of works their definition of self-regulated learning in there. According to one source, self-regulated learning means I'm able to control the learning environment and take charge of my own learning process. When you use material from Journal 2 or Journal 3 for your definitions, you need to make sure you cite that source using the first word on the works citus page. And the works citus page is just a listing of the sources in your essay. So you're just listing the sources for Journal 2 and Journal 3. And you're just going to look just exactly like this. You're going to probably cut and paste this into your essay. The only thing you'll change will be the section number of the course, because none of you are in a Sullivan Central High School course. But you can just copy that, put it into your essay. The works citus page is the last page on the essay all by itself. And when you use the definitions from Journal 2 and Journal 3, you'll just cite it using that first word on the works citus page. So that's what's going on there. Generally, I just want you to quote from the source. She's getting kind of fancy using a summary. But you kind of see she's a good student. She probably knew how to do this before she came into class. But you need to work those definitions in there. And then she's going to shift into her thesis. Again, in one sentence, tell us what your essay is about. As a self-regulated learner, I've become successful at planning and organizing my work, controlling the learning environment around me to reduce distractions, and asking questions until I'm sure that I've learned the material. Good, clear thesis. If you're going to mix it up a bit and say I'm successful at a couple of these, but I need to work on another one, just go that way. But you want to kind of tell us what your essay is going to be about in that one sentence. And make sure you give your profile points in the order you're going to discuss them in the essay. So here we got planning and organizing my work, and you can see right away in the third paragraph, the second paragraph, she's going to start talking about planning and organizing her work. When you get into the body paragraphs, make sure you have a good, clear topic sentence, like you see here. Planning and organizing my work is something I've grown very accustomed to throughout my years in high school. We know what the paragraph's going to be about. It's going to be about planning and organizing work, right? Once you give that topic sentence, you want to make sure you give good details, a good sense of example within the body paragraphs. We want to see how she plans and organizes her work and how it affects her studies and her grades and everything like that. You can kind of see that's what she's going to start doing. Organizational skills come as easy to me as taking candy from a baby, getting a little figurative language in there. And then she's going to get into specific examples. She's talking about her planner, how it has sticky notes, color coding, highlighting everywhere. And I remember every time I changed the due date, she'd, and it's because she had to open up her planner, change all the dates, and she drove her nuts when I changed the due date, even if it was for snow or whatever, even if it was to her benefit. It was just frustrating because I had it all set, and now I got to redo my schedule book. But generally, successful students have some kind of organization and scheduling techniques. And that's what she's talking about here. Kind of notice some of the commentary. This is her draft, not her final version. But I highlight days that I have tests or exams that I need to study for. She might discuss that a little bit more. How does that lead to good study habits and success with those tests or exams? But overall, she's got the right idea in the paragraph. You can see one thing I'm complaining about. While you have that topic sentence at the beginning of the paragraph, you got the good details and examples in the body of the paragraph. You want a good concluding paragraph to bring that paragraph to a close. Don't introduce the next paragraph with the concluding sentence, but you want a good concluding sentence to bring the current paragraph to a nice close, and just so it doesn't feel like you just kind of stop talking. Then again, another good topic sentence. As a self-regulated learner, I've become very good at controlling the environment around me to reduce distractions. And then she gets into details about that. Notice getting as specific as possible. If you're going to say, I listen to music while I work, what kind of music? Do you listen to hip-hop? Most studies say you don't want any music that has words in it. So do you listen to classical music or jazz or whatever? Here she's saying she's listening to Johnny Cash. I could never work listening to Johnny Cash because I'd be singing more than I'd be working, because I really like Johnny Cash. But she's giving a good sense of example. Again, you kind of read the commentary as you go along. And again, I'm wanting her to have a good concluding sentence for this paragraph. But other than that, she's doing pretty well here. Then she gets on to the last one, which is asking questions. Again, I'm not going to read this whole thing to you. But again, you want to be as specific as possible. You might give a specific example from the past where maybe if you're not good at asking questions, where you didn't ask a question and you got a bad grade, you're just like, why didn't I just ask that question? I didn't want to look stupid in front of the class, but now I got this D on this assignment, so why didn't I just ask this question? And again, if you're going to pick something you're not so good at, kind of make sure you're giving examples of what didn't work before and what you might do to improve on that one that the profile point you might need to work on. She picked 3 she was good at, so she don't have to do that. Then you want to get into a concluding paragraph. Do not repeat your thesis statement in the concluding paragraph. Don't repeat your profile points. I get it. You gave the 3 points in your thesis. You spent a paragraph on each one. I get it. Tell us, how being a self-regulated learner is going to maybe help you in your future college studies, in your career, in your personal life. Right? If you ever worked with somebody who just refused to ask questions and just kind of let things happen, it can be very frustrating and cost a lot of money. I used to work in restaurants. Somebody wouldn't ask questions and just destroyed a whole fillet or something. That's a whole lot of money that we just lost there because they wouldn't ask a question. It can be very frustrating. Likewise, we have five kids. If we don't plan and organize, chaos ensues pretty quickly. So, it's not just for English classes. These profile points can help you in life and your career and everything else, right? So that's what I want you to kind of do in that concluding paragraph. You'll notice she has that second definition from journal number 2. And this kind of wants you to do, I'm looking more for a quote than a summary. And you can just use a direct quote word for word from the person. The brackets show a change or addition to a quote. So that's what's happening there. But and again, going to cite using the first word on the works cited page, which you've got right here. And again, feel free to copy that and put that in your essay. Just put it on the last page of the essay. And then when you give the definition, just cite using the first word on the works cited page. But I complained maybe a little bit about the concluding paragraph. Again, this was her draft. She went back and fixed this a little bit. But she's doing a good job not repeating her thesis points or something like that. So that's pretty good. But notice she's making all of it. She's making the word count, avoiding the forbidden words, getting the punctuation in there, and doing a pretty good job overall. But that's the way the essay is going to work. If you have any questions for me, obviously you're going to ask them. It sounds easy when I explain it, but when you're sitting there staring at the blank screen, it can be a little intimidating. But keep in mind, just kind of follow that pattern. The first paragraph, you're going to introduce yourself, lead to your thesis, spend a paragraph on each of the profile points, and then your brilliant conclusion at the end that does not repeat your thesis. And you should have a good essay going. Alrighty. I'm going to hush up there, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.